Okay, hi guys. Today we're going to do a little bit of drywall preparation, little taping. It's called taping, compound and taping. So we're going to go through some of the tools that we need. As you see the wall behind me, there's some sheets of 4x8 sheetrock here, or gray board. So the way it's laid out is is vertical across some studs, and you're going to have some seams where they have to get taped and compounded and then blended in, so it all looks like one unit. You can't see any of the lines and the taping and any of that. So by using different taping knives, you can accomplish that. What I have here is a set of 3, which is kind of the standard, how you would put them on, how you would apply the compound to these seams right here. So you have these variable types of tapes and meshes to hide the seam. The most common is this paper unit here. As I rip a little piece off, this is the only tape that has a seam that you put a crease in, and this will fit. If I want to do the horizontal, I would apply this crease part into the divot that's here and then plaster that in. But virtually this goes on the corners all the time. So if you come over to the corner here, you're going to see how you applied a little piece here, a little starter piece here. But where you attach the new wall to the old wall, you might have a gap right here. So this product that I'm using here is a all-purpose joint compound, and this is heavy duty. So this actually works. I mean, you can actually build sections of a wall with this. It's that hard. Followed by other types of joint compound that would be more of a finish, that dry faster, less dust when you sand. But this is the main product that people use. Okay, so if I was going to do the corner here, like I said, I would crease the paper. Fits right in here, but as you can see, there's a gap between the 2 walls. That has to be dealt with first. So I would apply some joint compound right into that gap, because you don't want just paper there. That'll be a weak spot where it would crack when people shut the door or slam the door. Potentially you could have a crack there, mainly with plaster, not joint compound. But when you're doing it the right way, you want to do it the right way. Fill it all in. That provides a backing when it dries, so you don't have a divot there where the paper can tear or the compound can crack when the door is shut. Okay, so I do this little section right here. Now that I've filled the gap between the 2 walls, I'm going to apply the joint compound in even things across each wall with a 4 or 5 inch putty knife. This particular one is a plastic one. You don't have to buy the expensive metal ones. You can get, with a small job like this, you can get by with a plastic one. So I'm going to run this knife down and apply some joint compound. As simple as that, all the way down. So that's going to provide the glue for the tape, if you will. So then I just come back down this side. And again, that's why you have a variety of different sizes. You could come into a spot where it's too small of an area to use. Okay, so now I will take my paper tape Normally I would go from top to bottom, but I've already done a little bit in the middle, so I'm just going to go from where I left off. So I'm just going to judge the length of that tape. Again, I'm using the paper tape, which is the general purpose tape that everyone uses. I'm just going to place it in the corner, and this will create the corner bead. So then I just take my, now I'm going to switch over to a little stiffer knife. And what I'm doing now is I have to remove that joint compound from underneath the tape. I will squeeze it out by using this 6-inch knife. And then I put my fingers behind it like rabbit ears, so that provides the tension that I will squeeze out that material. So then I just put the corner of the knife into the corner of the wall where it joins and run it down. And as I squeeze out the extra material, I keep cleaning my knife off. And then I just put pressure on with my 2 fingers. I just run it down. Okay, so now this side of the joint tape is secured. I see a little bit of the airspace, so I'm going to slip this knife in behind, pull that tape back, apply some, and then, and what I've also done is with my 2 fingers, I've used the one on the right, the index finger, to when I apply pressure on that side of the knife, I take off all this extra material. What your goal is to get as much of that joint compound off so you have the minimal of sanding. You don't want to sand this paper. You don't want to rough it up because that affects the painting when you come for the finish work. So gently squeeze out the extra material on one side, and then you just clean your knife off and go right back to the other side and do the same thing. And now you have a nice, perfect corner. And that's the first application of joint compound. It's going to take 3. So we're going to use a 6-inch knife, an 8-inch knife, and a 10-inch knife. Some people use a 12-inch. It's all what the job that you're going to be doing. The bigger the job, you're going to use more different tools, more taping machines, on and on and on. This is a small application just to show you how to do the process. So we're using these basic tools that most people use anyway. But the bigger the job, the more updated and more technical it gets. Okay, so now for me to finish that corner, as you can see, you have hardly any, you just have a residue of joint compound on both sides. So now you know you've done it correctly. It's nice and clean. You don't have any sanding between coats when you do it correctly. You just, if you see anything, a rough surface, you scrape it down and then apply your second coat. So you're not going to be doing a lot of sanding if you do it correctly. If you apply too much joint compound, unfortunately, you'll have to do a lot of sanding with different grades of sandpaper, and you might scuff up the paper of the sheetrock, which will affect the painting in the finishing process. So now I'm going to safely move a ladder over to the corner and show you how to finish that corner. This is going to be weird. I have to turn you around. No, turn him around. Okay, so I'm going to just guess how much joint compound I'm going to need to apply up there. Apply it here. You don't want a lot. You don't want to overdo it. Some might fall down, so you want to be neat. So you position your joint compound on your hawk. This is a hawk. My choice that I would like to apply this material with, there's also called a mud tray. In the mud tray, you would put your joint compound in there. I'll show you how to use this one also. And it has these metal things where you would clean off your knife every time you apply some. I prefer the hawk. because it's has a handle that's more conducive to what I would like. Okay, so I'm going to take the roll of paper tape and go up this wall. Okay. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't have anything up there, so I'm just going to lean him. And I'm just going to take the paper tape and do a rough guess. What I need right there. It rips very easily, so if you overdo it, you can tear it while you're in there. So again, I crease it. So now that part is there, so then I'll just put it here and then prepare my wall surface with my compound knife. Again, I'm going to fill this gap first all the way up.
Looking good, guys.
Okay, and as I go up, I keep filling that up. And then you're going to see I intersect this 4x8 sheet is intersected by another smaller sheet, a 6-inch strip at the top, so you have a seam right here. When you're taping the seams, they shouldn't overlap because then you would have a thicker spot where you might have a lump. And I'll explain that to you. And while I'm up here, I'll attach this to the ceiling. The same process as the wall. There's no gap here, so I'm just gonna do the side walls. Add this, and I'm just gonna put a small piece there. I'm gonna show you how to fill this seam. Normally I use the mesh tape for the seam because it has a sticky backing to it, and I'll show you that. But I'll do this one with tape to show you the most simple way to do it. All right, so I'm up here, and then I'm going to attach this wall. Apply this to each side. Run your knife down so it's a nice even bead. Come down the other side. Tuck this in the corner. As you can see, I've already creased it, so this goes right into the corner just like you like it. And then you gently tuck it in with your knife. So you're actually creating the corner, okay? So if you're creating the corner, you want it to look perfect, so you don't, knowing there's a gap behind it, you go in gently and just set it into the mud or the joint compound. And then you just run your knife down with this corner into the corner of the wall, and when you run it down, you'll have a sharp, perfectly sharp corner, okay? Again, I clean my knife off between every pass. Then I come down on this side, squeezing out all the excess joint compound, cleaning it off, reestablish it on the hock so it doesn't fall off. All right, fine tune my area. Again, you want to remove all the excess compound so you have minimal sanding, minimal dust, minimal cleanup. Which is often you're judged by your cleanliness in this type of work because it is so messy. It can get messy. Okay, so I'm applying some more to there. Okay, so I got that. I want to switch over to my 1.5 inch knife, come back up here to get that little section. Get all the extra material off, clean that knife. Okay, so this section is finished right here. I'm going to move on to the other two. All right, so here where this sheet ended and there's another partial sheet at the top, there's a seam. So I have the tape in the corner. I don't want to double overlap that tape because that'll make a thicker area than the rest of the field. So I want to keep it uniform. So I'm only going to start where the tape ends. Take a small piece and just, so there's a seam right here. There's a hole where this paper tape, I can put the paper tape on flat, or I can crease it the same as I did the side, and then stick it right in that groove. Again, I'm not overlapping in the end. And then adhere it to the joint compound. And this is the first coat for this also. Okay, again, squeeze out all extra material so the sanding process is much cleaner and less possible damage to the wall surface. Okay, so I've done the vertical. Of course I did. So I've done the vertical, and I've done one across the horizontal. Okay, so now I'm going to do the connect between the top of the sheet and the ceiling. It's the same procedure. So I'm just going to take a small piece of tape. Same thing, I crease it. That's the ease of this product. So once you creased it, you know you've done the right thing. I slip it in there, again, not overlapping the existing one on the vertical. Knife this, Phil, right there. Thank you. And then I'm going to seat this the same way as we did the other. Clean my tool off. Remove all the extra material. Seat it to the top. Gently tuck it in while I'm there, so I create that sharp corner bead we're looking for. Okay, so now we have the full vertical from the top all the way down to the bottom. The tape is embedded into the joint compound on both sides of the wall. The horizontal seam has been covered up to here, as well as the ceiling seam. So that will need to dry and it'll be ready for the second coat. It's going to take 3 coats. Each one's going to be, it'll be a 6-inch, an 8-inch, and a 10-inch bump out to hide the seam. If I just did a 2-inch, a 3-inch on each side, this would be a lump. Where the seam would be an accumulation of joint compound, which would be visible to the eye. So to make it invisible, to bury it, we have to go 6 inches above, 6 inches below, and then that will hide this seam. Okay?